What's up, everybody? The Man Cave Sports Podcast. It's your boy Jae Jones, Cool Comic Collective, Mr. Podcast or Bust. We back with a special episode. Got my homies G Money, got Coach Sam Nosoff here with us. Got Mike T, Wildcard Mar in the building. What's going on, fellas? How's everybody feeling?
Feeling great, feeling good, feeling great.
I love it. It's so consistent with the line. I love it.
Always.
We here, man. We here. You know what it is.
Okay. All right, cool, man. G Money, how you feeling, man?
Hey, me and the wife, we've been in this pickleball league, man. I'm feeling confident out here. Let's do this thing.
You got some footage?
Hey, well, I can get some footage this next weekend. I got y'all.
All right, man. Don't be pulling no hammies, man.
This guy.
Hey, Jay, tell Cameron Mace we said what's up.
Hey, Cameron Mace. It is what it is. What's up? Hey, G Money, don't be getting hurt out there neither, man. All right.
Yeah, I do my stretching, man. Shit.
All right, we need you for the kickball game.
I'll be there.
All right, man. Well, we here. We got Coach, man. We got a special edition, man. We talking high school football. And one particular program, we talking about the Blair Blazers. We had Coach on last year. They've been doing a phenomenal job, man. We've been keeping up with them. Our own Mike T had an opportunity to speak with the team, man. So, you know, this is we always love to collaborate with Coach, man, and Blair, because we love and support them. You know what I'm saying? And we want to see them do well. So, Coach, welcome back again. Appreciate having you back on. And just tell us, what have you been up to lately, man? What's going on in the off season? You know, if you can, just give us a little bit of background about yourself as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're busy. I told the team yesterday when we got back from the 4th of July break that it's officially July, which means it's officially August. So it's football time for us. We ramped back up. The state changed a couple of the rules, so they let us practice a little bit now. So we're practicing. We're doing 7-on-7 over at Einstein on Wednesdays. We're doing speed training. You know, we're doing mental training with Adam Bradley through Lead 'Em Up. We're busy. We're not assuming anything at this point. So it's been busy. As for me, I'm kind of a transplant. I mean, I'm from York, Pennsylvania. I moved down here maybe it's probably more than 10 years ago now for work. I switched to be a teacher, went to McDaniel, got my master's in education. So I've been a teacher ever since. So these last 7 years, I've been at Blair coaching. I worked at Eastern for 2 years, and now I've been at Blair these last handful. So this will be my 5th season as the head coach at Blair. I was fortunate enough to coach underneath Andrew Fields my first 2 years. When he stepped down, I was given the keys to the car, and we've been off and running ever since.
Cool. Fellas, y'all more than welcome to ask Coach some questions. So go ahead, jump right in there, man. And if you got a question now.
Yeah. So Coach, man, and I'm doing this podcast thing because I chose to do it. Like, I literally could have been in the league, man. I was nice like that. But, you know, I got distracted at 16. So what's kind of like your biggest obstacles dealing with, you know, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids? You know, hormones is, you know, all over the place. You know, what's the best way to kind of corral them and get them to focus?
I mean, our biggest obstacle, I don't even know if there is, like, if you put a ranking of biggest obstacles, it honestly might just be each kid's own ranking. I mean, we've got a couple of kids with rough home lives. So there's so many other things that are more important than being at practice every day. We've got a couple of kids with parents in different countries and working all the time. We've got a couple of kids that are, they're taking care of their siblings every day. On top of all that, they've got to keep the grades up. On top of all that, we're at a school with 3,300 kids. So obviously there's their fair share of people they may be interested in. And, social media is not helping things. AirPods and Beats and all those aren't helping things. So trying to keep them focused, it just depends on the group. For this group here, we've got a lot of hard workers. We got a lot of kids that just they want to succeed. I gave them a challenge over the 4th of July weekend to write me a paper on why they play football and what they think success looks like in football. And I read through probably about 75% of them before I went to practice. A lot of them are trying to fill some of the or fill some of the shoes from parents who have played football before. So this kind of has like a family meaning to them. We've got a handful of kids that this is keeping them out of trouble. So, I think a challenge like that where they have to think about their whys is important. And then we kind of reiterate those things. So, as I read through them, I might hit up a position coach and say, hey, so-and-so, this is their outlet. Like if they seem angry one day, like use that because this is why they're here. This is how they're getting through what's going on up here, So we just keep reminding them that they're never guaranteed longevity in this game. So you got to take advantage of it while you can. G said he's playing pickleball now. So you can play pickleball forever, but football has an expiration date. So you got to appreciate it while you got it.
Hey, I know we talked about best coaches, Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, but everything Coach Nosoff saying right now, I'm loving it right there. So high school coaches, you up there in my book, no doubt. That's good stuff right there.
That's it. You gotta acknowledge that as a coach because everybody's different. So I'm with it, man. Cool, man.
I gotta follow up. And you don't have to go too personal if you don't want to about it, but I know you talked about tough situations and stuff like that, and it happens. What was one of the tough situations that stood out to you as a football coach that was with, it could be players or just in the school, on or off the field, and what was how you handled it kind of thing, if you don't mind?
We had one of our all county players last year, Cam Reynolds. He was our running back, starting safety, had 100 tackles for us, almost 1,000 yards. I mean, he was a do-it-all player for us. And, he only played with us 1 year. He transferred in from Northwood. We knew that he had abilities and talent as fast as you couldn't believe. His dad came to every football game, and then his dad had a sudden medical emergency, and passed in the season. And the first game that his dad missed was from that, which, I mean, you can't even imagine. I had a similar situation when I was playing in college. On a game weekend, I was able to relate to him a little bit and share some stories with him and kind of have those conversations with him. But, how do you console someone who's in high school going through a situation like that, where one day dad hasn't missed a football game since youth ball, to, if you look in the stands, he might not be there. Yeah, that's tough. Fortunately, we were toward the end of the season. We actually had a bye week the first week of the playoffs, so I was able to get him some time off and see family and be around them. The team signed a football for him, but that's like the one that sticks out. But I mean, we've got so many kids that we've had kids in my 7 years that they got kicked out of their own room and they're sleeping on the couch because a sibling from a previous marriage moved in with mom or dad. And we have bad days, right? We have bad days as coaches, and we're frustrated and we're angry. And then you find out that one of our athletes is having a bad day because they haven't slept in 3 days because they're on the floor kind of a deal. So it's tough. That doesn't mean that we're taking it easy on them at practice, because we've got things we need to accomplish and all of that, but there's that fine line of trying to get to know them and help them. And again, this is their outlet. This is the way they get to forget about some of those things.
Yeah.
Coach.
I always say all the time that sports and in particular football is a microcosm of reality sometimes. And it's you see a lot of things that you deal with on a personal level that you can sometimes relate to it and find, especially in football, a way to be a healthy distraction for those situations off the field and things like that. And especially for teenage boys and so much energy and testosterone to release. I've always found contact sports always work for me. It's better than being in the streets. So
And we've sometimes we have some conversations with them, especially the seniors, as they're getting ready to graduate. And I always tell them, you're going to go to a dorm room and you're going to be hanging out with a bunch of guys. And if you're going to play football at the next level, you're going to be hanging out with a whole team. And I guarantee you that everyone is going to have a story from high school football. Like no one, they graduate college and they're sitting at a desk somewhere. I bet you someone in your office has a high school football story, and that just triggers that relationship. And, in the sales world, it helped me immensely. Just being able to have a conversation with someone about high school football or college football or something. Those are things that you can't replicate in other ways. So it's so instrumental to development.
I'm 100% behind you. I tell everybody, what's my first language? Sports. Sports connects to this entire world in one way or another. You don't have to speak the same language, but if you're on the field, you're on the court with somebody, and it's gonna work, because that's how relationships are made, really.
No, Coach, let me ask, what's your favorite part about coaching? Like, what do you love about coaching the most?
I like it when I have a couple of the athletes that'll come back to me after they graduate, and if they've played in college or they didn't, at least 2 or 3 of them from each graduating class has come back and said something to the effect of, I get it, or now I know why, or now it makes sense. Like, we're hard on them for 2, 3, 4 years, and there's the constant, why are you making me do this? Why do I have to do this? I don't understand why this is so important. And then they graduate and they go to college, or they go into the workforce, or they play. And then there's that light bulb that like flips on, and it's like, yeah, I get why Coach Nosof was so mad that I was late every day, because my boss is mad that I'm late every day and I'm about to lose my job. Like those are it's
life lessons.
Yeah, it's the life lessons that when it clicks, it's a really rewarding feeling. The wins and losses are great, and the stories and all that, but for me, it's those few athletes every year that still hit me up from time to time, or still join in on a conversation and come back to practice and say, this is why the coaches are asking these things of you.
Gotcha. Mike, jump in there.
So listen, everyone out there that knows me, that knows how I support the Blair Blazers, Coach Nosof is my best friend. People, let me tell you about my Bear. So I'm gonna I got 2 questions out there for you, Coach Nosof. The first of which is, you're, as you said earlier, you're not from this area. You're from Erie, Pennsylvania. But you've seen the impact that you and your Blazers have had on this area. The first question I want to ask is, how do you handle that? And how do you keep the team, down to handle that? And the second question is, I saw this on I Am Athlete, and it was Marshawn Lynch and Liddell White, and they were talking about Pete Carroll, and they were saying that Pete Carroll is a head coach, but he's also a psychiatrist. Do you think that coaches play that role as well? Well, especially with high school sports.
Yeah, I'll answer the second one first. I mean, we are a part-time coach, but a full-time everything else. I mean, it's every coach on my staff, on my offensive line coach, every day there's something, and the first thing he says back is it's never easy. Like we are for some of our athletes, we're the closest thing to a parental figure that they really have. For some of our athletes, they see us more than they see their own families just because of what's going on at home. We're dealing with the relationships, we're dealing with grades, we're dealing with, I get emails from time to time from parents saying I'm having trouble with them with motivation, or they're on their phone all the time. Can you talk to them? We're having trouble with this. Can you talk to them? So we are the coaching part of it is pretty small when you look at the role that we really fill in the time that we're around these guys. So yeah, I mean, psychologists, psychiatrists, you name it, we're probably up there in that. In terms of being from outside coming in, I coming from Pennsylvania, everything's a school district. I knew of everything, like everybody went to the same kindergarten, elementary, middle, high school. Like there was no DCC, or there was no I went to this middle school and then there's 3 of them that come together for a high school. We went to school with the same kids. Now we had 2 elementary schools on either side of our little zone that fed into the middle school, but basically from 6th grade through graduation, we were a unit. So it's been unique when I see the middle school kids kind of blend together when they come into Blair. So that was something I had to adapt to. In terms of the program, I've heard the stories. My high school football program, we were okay. We were we won, but we really didn't make any noise when we were winning games. So I was kind of used to the high school game being flat. In college we were very successful, so I knew what it took to win. And I was fortunate to play for a couple of really good coaches that I really respect. So I just tried to bring some of that in. And, I took some of the good that I liked and I took some of the bad that I didn't like and tried to adapt it. Every year is different though. The group these last 2 years, we were really fortunate with talent. Talent came with some butting of heads. Talent came with some, we were just talking about Darrelle Revis not being really big of a talker. He just kind of did his job and shut down a whole side of the field. But the reason why he's not ranked 1 for most of us is because, like, who is Darrelle Revis other than Revis Island? That's kind of this group that we have now. The previous 2 years was a little more loud, on the socials and, all over the place. This group now, they're a little bit more quiet, a little more hardworking. Yet to be determined if that's the better system or not. But, I think we're a little bit more of a lunch pail team than the Flash than we were the last 2 years.
It's not a bad thing though.
Yeah,
Not at all.
Yeah,
not a bad thing.
Not at all. Especially because you guys. I mean, me and G went to Blair, so we kind of endured some of the bad times that you speak of. But I've been around you, and I've been around the team, and I've been around some of the kids that you guys. I actually went to school with some of their parents, so that's pretty cool to see things full circle. I ain't gonna say her name because one of her sons is actually like one of the top players of the team, but we talk about that all the time, like how when we went to school, like just going to the games, like how can I put this? Because I kind of know the answer based on being around you. do you know what you guys have built fully? Like, do you have a grasp of that? And how do you keep them humble?
It's interesting because the game has changed so much that there really is like the generation of Blair athletes that were in that category of not winning and the culture being down aren't in the same kind of communication spaces as the current athlete. So our current athletes, I mean, they know nothing more other than like, we're good, and that's one of the things that we have to humble them a little bit with is, every once in a while we get caught in the trap of the what have we done lately, which is succeed for where the program came from. So we have to remind them. And that's why I love having some of the older generation players come back, because they can kind of remind them. They hear Baker and Seals talk about it all the time, but they're coaches, so they hear it all the time. But when previous athletes come back and say, hey, you got to remember, and even my first graduating class, I mean, my first year in 2019, we were 5-5, and we were 5-5 with 2 losses to Einstein, and those were the first 2 losses, or that was the first regular season DCC loss that Blair had in 10 years or something like that, because once Coach Fields took over, they didn't lose in the DCC. So even little things like that, we can kind of remind them, hey, we haven't really achieved enough to say, come see us yet. We still have to work for the things we want. But I recognize it because we've got a big school, we've got a big stadium. The home side of the bleachers are huge. When you put all the students in the student section, and then I look between the roped off student section, and then it's packed with parents between that and the band, and then the other side of the band, it's Letterman jackets and people with kids and strollers, and you can tell that that's the group that's coming back to see games, because that's what you can do now on a Friday night, rather than, I'd rather do anything other than that, so that I notice.
Now, Mike, let me ask you a question, because you actually, we spoke about it briefly earlier. You actually had an opportunity to go back to Blair and speak to the young kids. So how did that make you feel as a former athlete alumni to go back and be able to contribute to the success of Blair?
I'm gonna be 100% blunt and 100% honest. The man below me is the only reason why I went back originally. Because y'all know me, I despise Blair because of my own personal reasons. And mind you, out of everyone we probably know, I live the closest to Blair. I live right at my mom, I didn't live there when I went to Blair, but mom lived directly across the street from Blair. So for years when I lived with my mom, I was not going to games. Like, I lived directly across the street from Blair. So, and Coach Nosof, we talked about it before, but corner pub,
yep,
my mom's house, like literally, like right there. So I'm gonna be honest, man. When I got in my car after talking to them, man, I shed some tears, because it felt real good that, first of all, he coaching a great group of young men. They were paying attention. They were attentive. Like, these youngins nowadays, for us, myself, G Money, who works with youth as well, you all, Mar and Jay, y'all have kids. When you get these kids to actually listen to you, give you eye contact, and pay attention to what you're saying, that means a lot, because a lot of them don't.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole team, they ain't know me from a can of paint, but they listened to everything that I had to say, and I could tell that I resonated with a lot of them, because they, like, when I was again, I told y'all, I stayed at the facility for a minute. It wasn't like I just went, talked to the team, okay, this is brass, yeah, and I left. No, I came up there, I went into the office, sat with Coach Nosof and the other coaches. We talked. One of the coaches coached my father back at BCC. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So yeah, like we found that out. So that was pretty dope. But every kid came in there and spoke to me. Every single kid came in there and spoke to me. That wasn't happening when I went to Blair.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was like, all right, we done with practice? What we about to go do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or where the party at? Or where the girls at? Or, you know what I'm saying? Everything but football.
Right.
Kids cared. They had the team managers there that were very helpful to the coach and very helpful to the team. We didn't have that. It just it's different, man. It's different. When you go to a Blair game now, everyone's paying attention to the game.
Yeah.
When we played, don't get it twisted. When my senior year, the stands was packed just like them, but we didn't have a student section. The band barely played because we sucked. And, I mean, a lot of parents didn't come.
Yeah.
You know, y'all know my mom. My mom boycotted Blair for a while, football for a while, bro. Like, so it's a total different. I'm not just saying it because he's here. I mean, it's a total different atmosphere. It felt great. I love to do it again because I feel as though those kids, man, they need it, especially from where we from. Y'all know, where we from, Jay. Of course, we're, Manchester, Flower Ave, 88 section, Maple Avenue, all those different places. We sometimes get forgotten because we live in Montgomery County. So people automatically assume money with us. But all of us don't come from money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So to see them take in what I was saying and understand, like, Gerard Baker is the coach on the team. And a lot of them are coming in and asking me questions about Coach Gerard. Like, was Coach Baker any good when he played? And I tell them straight up, Gerard was all right. Gerard was nice. You know what I'm saying? If Gerard played for another school, he might have made more. Then, he might not even be coaching y'all right now. He might be, I'm not going to say the league, but Gerard definitely could have been a D1, D2 type of guy. I mean, based on just knowing him, his work ethic and his drive. He just didn't have the right people around him because he was at, so it's definitely dope to see, like, what's going on. Like, it really means a lot because I remember going to school and my freshman year, I hate when people bring up like Pee-wee games and stuff like that, but I was a dog in football. So when I got to Blair, I ain't never lose more than 2 games. Like, it's 9 years before you get to high school. So for 9 years, since my first grade year, all the way till I played the Blair, I only lost 2 games my whole life. It was a rude awakening.
A rude
Got
awakening.
And listen,
a reality check, bro.
yeah, so for them, it's like, it's dope to see that they don't even know what that feels like.
Yeah.
Like Coach said, they don't know nothing about the past. Like, if you walk into Blair right now, I'm telling Gary right now, because Gary went to the new Blair, I think for 1 year. If you walk into Blair right now, you will not recognize nothing. I guarantee you. You walk down the main hallway, Blair Boulevard, totally different than it looked like when we was there. If you go to the games, the way the games, the atmosphere is, it's totally different than when you went to a Blair game. Blair games back in the day, you go into the Blair game to find out where the house party was at.
Yep. Because I used to be in the stands all the time.
Right.
Jay.
Because Einstein wasn't good either. So I was like, you know what? I'm going over to my homies over at Blair. I'm going to chill with them.
Whole time, Facebook memories be messing me up because this week, my homie James McCray, he had been sharing Blair highlights, right? And
I seen this.
On every single play, I'm wide open, but our quarterback made the wrong decision.
That's why we have a good quarterback coach. So we don't have to make those bad decisions.
I love y'all quarterback coach too. He played in one of the Turkey Bowls, which is dope.
Yeah. Joe's awesome. He that was a weird connection. It was so Steve Afontis, who's the one who coached at BCC.
Yes.
He's been on staff since I've been there. I mean, he outdates me. He was there before I got there because all 3 of his kids have gone to Blair. His oldest played at Blair. I want to say he was a 2018 grad. And now his youngest is going to be a senior this year. But he coached Joe at BCC. They were going to, or he ran into each other at a funeral or something like that, asked Joe what he was doing. Joe had just retired from arena ball and asked him if he wanted to coach. He came into the weight room. I introduced him to the couple of quarterbacks we had, which was Kendall and Quinn and all those guys. And, you know, Joe said, I'll give you as many days as I can, which was originally going to be like 1 or 2 days a week. And now he's there as much as I am, you know, to the point where he's running his own quarterback training, Dime U.
I've seen that.
Which is huge. I let him call the 7-on-7 stuff during the summer. That's where he gets to experiment and kind of bring, it's a unique perspective because he's got arena ball flair, which, you know, arena ball with people in motion and the short field and all of that. I mean, we've adapted a couple of those things to our system, which really, it helps us. So his
unlocks another
his
level.
mind and his ability to see things has been huge, but more importantly, I mean, quarterback coach is just critical. Like
Yeah,
my
definitely.
first year, we didn't have a quarterback coach. I was out there making it up. That's not my position by trade. And, you know, you can watch some clinic videos and go through some drills, but when it comes to like telling a quarterback what to look at and where to look at it and when to look at it,
yeah,
man, you have to be in the trenches for stuff like that. So having Joe that's been huge.
Let me tell you, Coach Joe, when I met him at the Turkey Bowl first. So I didn't meet him when I met you. Had I met him when I met you, I wouldn't have liked it. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna just tell you quickly, because he was supposed to go to Blair.
Yep.
And he went to BCC.
Yep.
He
wanted to go to Blair.
Yeah.
And, he got zoned for BCC, and that's where he wound up.
I don't think nobody liked BCC. We couldn't play BCC. We couldn't play BCC because we got into a real bad basketball fight with them.
I
My
remember
freshman
that
year, and we couldn't play them for 4 years.
It's funny.
I was there too.
We just did the first Hall of Fame inductees for Blair Athletics this year, and everyone, you know, a couple of the 60s and 70s basketball players, and recognized the undefeated football team, and you know, it's so interesting because all of them were talking about their heated rivalries with BCC. It's like, you know, down with BCC, everything anti-BCC, and I'm sitting there thinking like, Blair versus BCC is not that big, like, but in the day that was the one.
Let me ask you this, Coach. And is so you bring up a good point about the quarterback and it being so important in today's game for sure. But I got to get your opinion on the NFL game and what's up with these running backs, man. They ain't trying to pay them. They not valuing them like they used to. Like kind of give us like your coaches kind of breakdown on why you think that is, why they don't value the running backs in the NFL no more like they used to.
I think it goes through cycles. You know, I think we go through cycles where there's some generational talents at running back. I mean, the CMCs, and I know Austin Eckler is not paid like a generational talent as much as
I think he is.
He is now because he's been demanding it. But, you know, it's for every one of those guys, you've got a couple of these running backs that just don't pan out once they get to the NFL level. And I don't know. It's also one of those positions that I think some general managers and certain NFL programs, they kind of treat them like disposable options. You know, it's if this running back can give me 2 or 3 years, by the time I'm ready to move on from them, I'm assuming there's going to be another one, because there's probably 50 to 60 at the Division I level that are at the caliber that could definitely do it. Maybe 20 to 30 of them that really can. So if you can just get one of those every 2 or 3 years, you can kind of make it work with the offensive systems the way they are. It benefits you to have two. So if you can have one that's capable of catching and one that's capable of running zone, you can kind of make it work with average talent running backs, you know. So I think we'll cycle back up probably in the next couple of years where some running backs are going to get paid pretty hefty, and then they're going to realize the first time that running back gets hurt and they're getting paid too much that they shouldn't pay him as much because they're doing just fine with the guy. You know, it's like when, I know the Cowboys conversation is kind of a cliche one from time to time, but if you pay Zeke big dollars and then he gets hurt and Tony Pollard comes in and he does just fine, why pay Zeke that kind of money?
Yeah.
You know, so I think we're going to go through a couple of cycles.
Hey, I know you were talking about Coach Urso, the quarterback's coach, but I got another personal question because need the quarterback to run the offense. Was there a moment or in practice during a game or during the season, I guess, that you knew that you had that quarterback with Kendall Anderson the last couple of years kind of thing, where he was your guy and y'all could take this ship to another level type thing?
Kendall did things that just didn't seem possible from time to time. There were at least twice, 2 to 3 times every game where play would get called, ball would get snapped. I'm on the headset saying, "What are we doing? I don't understand what's going on." And then the next thing I'm saying is, "Are you serious?" And then, and you know, everyone's just looking around like, how did that even happen? How did we go from the ball being bobbled to being 70 yards downfield over the top of a safety, receiver hauling it in? I'm trying to figure out, all right, what do I call next while I'm trying to still process what he just did. You know, he was, if you were to take a blender and put in special talent, just kind of freak athlete, you know, and then also sometimes the most hard-headed individual that you've ever coached, and blended out all together, that was Kendall. And for every moment that we clashed and it was, I don't understand why you won't just take this 3-yard easy pass that gets us closer to the first down, there would be a moment of he evaded 2 people, threw it 65 yards, we completed the catch, and now all I've got to do is go for 1 or 2. So he's just got that it factor. So we saw him freshman. I mean, when he was a freshman, he was running around people. It was a little youth club and boys clubby, but no one could catch him, so we knew we had something.
Yeah.
I hope they let him play quarterback, man. I hope they don't do like we did back in the day and make him an athlete.
He's at Army next season, right?
So he was going to go to Army. A couple of personal decisions were made, and he's actually going to go to Lackawanna next year. And I think it was just, Army was a great opportunity, and it just happened at the wrong time and some things that are going on with family. So he's going to go to Lackawanna next year, and I think he's going to have every opportunity to fight his way back into a Division I program, which I don't think is going to be difficult for him. I mean, the JUCO world is a unique world all in itself. But I think he has the mindset to make it happen. And you know, we've also had a couple of guys that have gone through the JUCO route in previous generations, and they've all sat down and had conversations with him. So he knows what to expect. He knows, you know, we've had conversations with mom and dad and everything. So I'm excited to see what he can do at Lackawanna, and then whatever that next step is.
Yeah, Cam Newton.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I seen him make a couple plays. Even against Wise last year, he made a play where I think he was running to the sideline, got knocked and threw it across his chest, and hit the guy in the middle of the field. I was like, damn, that's a hell of a play. He had quite a few of those throws throughout the season as well. And you mentioned that Kendall has moved on, so I was gonna ask you about your current quarterback. His name is Sam. I think it's Sam something with the H.
Quinn Stofa.
I was totally
Yep.
off. Can you just speak about him and just tell us about the expectations you may have of him and just the expectations of the whole team in general as well this year?
So I mean, we're kind of in good hands because the Stofa the Stofa name, he's actually the great nephew or great grandson of John Stofa, who played for, I think, Cincinnati way back in the day. So he's got some good lineage to him, which is always great. But honestly, I don't see the quarterback position being that one that we're sitting here banging our heads against the wall saying, if only. Quinn's going to be a 4-year player in the program with us. He's come through every year and just gotten better and better. The confidence has gone up. He did play quite a bit last year in games where we had the opportunity to put him in, and we didn't miss a beat when he was in. He's a different type of quarterback than Kendall. I not saying that he's going to amount to anything quite like it, but I kind of give him those Daniel Jones vibes where he can throw the ball wherever he wants to throw the ball, but if you let him run, he will take off. Now, I'm hoping he's not going to trip over himself, but he's got wheels. He's a long pole defender in lacrosse as well. He's been a starter on varsity since his freshman year. His older brother was a captain for us in a couple of years, and one of my, one of those guys that you wish you could have 100 of. So comes from a good family. But with Urso working with him on a daily basis, he has kind of risen up to the point where I would say that the quarterback position is not one that we're worried about this year. He knows how to command the offense. We'll adjust a few things just to fit his strengths, but I would say for everyone else that has us on the schedule, I don't think they're going to say they don't have a quarterback.
Hi, Coach. So what would you say is the most important thing to have as a coach? Like, what's the best quality you would say to have as a coach? Being nurturing, person that holds somebody accountable, personality traits. Just kind of give us because I've even thought about coaching just because I love football. So like, what would be something that a trait that you think has to be at the top of your list to have if you want to succeed at coaching?
Not necessarily. Well, I'll give you a trait, but the honestly the best thing that definitely a head coach can have is a good staff. I mean, the coaching staff that I have is huge. I don't have to do a lot when it comes to the coaching side because I trust that they're going to be following right along with whatever the path we're on. I don't have to micromanage. I don't have to ask the questions of like, I don't understand why we weren't just doing that. We're based on personnel. I know that the offensive staff and the defensive staff are trying to come up with the best system. I had a conversation with my defensive coordinator, who's Aaron Carter, who was at Gaithersburg for many years, and just got inducted into the Maryland Coaches Hall of Fame for being an assistant coach. I mean, he's been our defensive coordinator the last couple of years. I had a conversation with him about personnel the other day, and it was like same brain. Like he was already thinking that up, drawing that up, kind of a thing. So honestly, the best quality that I have as a head coach is I've got 12 or 13 other coaches on staff that I don't have to ask why aren't you doing that? Because they already are. In terms of traits, it's a willingness to learn. Not You're never going to have all the right answers, and you may never have the exact right answer, but it's the willingness to adapt. I was old school my first couple of years. You wouldn't catch me doing media days or, smoke effect pictures and jersey reveals and all that kind of stuff. But the group that came in the last couple of years hooked us up with, some really good photographers. And, I figured if this is what they want and this is what's going to kind of get them moving in the right direction for the culture of the program, then let's do it. And it's kind of opened me up to, now I can't go without that stuff. Like now I'm trying to plan, all right, when are we doing the next one, kind of a thing. So
it's that day and age that we're in.
Yeah,
we see you on there, Coach. We see you on Twitter on there,
it's
man.
the willingness to adapt and learn and know that it's not always going to be the right answer, but if you figure out whether it was close or it was too far away, you kind of adjust the next time you have to make that decision.
You walked right into my alley, Coach, about uniforms and things of that nature. Because I got a bunch of questions for you, but I'm a limit because my guys, we got a bunch of questions for you. Period. But I'm gonna have a little fun, and to the young Blazers out there, y'all gonna love me for this. So, first question I have for you about uniforms is: we going black helmets again this year?
Yes. Yeah, black helmets again this year.
Fire.
The helmets will be the same look as we had last year.
Now, let me ask you this question: is there a rule that we can only have one helmet per year?
I don't know if there's a rule in high school about only having one helmet per year, but budgetary reasons,
yeah,
have one helmet.
Hey, that costs money,
Okay,
man. Come
gotcha.
on,
They still telling y'all
No, I did see there's a company that's making helmet skins where you just kind of snap them on and you can change just the shell on the outside of it. I haven't looked into the rules on whether that's legal for MPSSAA football, but the budget allows for us to have one helmet.
Gotcha. So Blair's still running game on our coaches. I see what they're doing. Because I see y'all still out there doing the malt sale, which we did 20 years ago. So that's it's actually pretty dope. But again, on uniforms, how many combinations do you all have?
So we're actually getting new uniforms this year. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll have some brand new uniforms for this fall for varsity.
is that breaking news, Coach?
I don't know if it's necessarily breaking news, but we haven't. I've seen the mock-ups of the looks. There is going to be a little bit more black than there has been in some of our previous jersey concepts. But we're actually, this will be breaking news. We're actually getting away from Under Armour these next handful of years. So we're teaming up with, it's a more local company called Tunnel Vision.
I know them.
So they're trying to break into the football uniforms. They've been doing basketball uniforms and some soccer uniforms. I think they just redid a whole basketball court somewhere in the general area. They repainted a court and have a 3-on-3 tournament going on. But again, it's another strange connection. Joe playing arena ball. Tunnel Vision did the arena ball uniforms for those guys, so he hooked us up. So in the next couple of weeks here, we should have some fresh uniforms. We'll have a new set of reds, new set of whites, and then we'll still have our alternate blacks for our varsity group. Now, not saying that we won't throw it back every once in a while, because we still have some pretty good condition previous Under Armour uniforms. But we'll transition the ones we wore these last few seasons down to JV.
Okay, so with that, because I love uniforms, I go to UniWatch everywhere. Shout out to my man Phil and damn, I forgot his name, but shout out to my man Phil at UniWatch. Is there any way we can get some throwbacks to the '94 season?
I mean, anything's possible.
Those are simple.
We've actually I've given some consideration because we still have some of the old Russell uniforms from that era. We actually use them for practice uniforms and scrimmages and things like that. We're missing too many numbers, and we wouldn't have the full set. This is the generational difference. Like, the kids all get upset because they're heavy and hot, and the crazy part is Under Armour actually released a new uniform, and Curly was wearing them, one of the private schools. They're the mesh see-through, and they're actually game uniforms, and it's like going back to practice jersey styles. It's like we're actually going in reverse. Lacrosse is doing it too. Lacrosse uniforms are basically football practice uniforms, and that's the new look. Like, that's in now. So it's, anything's possible.
It's so full circle.
The only reason why I bring up the 94 team, because as you know, the history, that was, even though Blair had an undefeated team, the 94 team, for people that's in the South Mo, as we call it, that is the team that was like the super heralded team that everyone, to be honest with you, that was my first time ever seeing a high school football game ever. When I went to go see them, I went to their homecoming game. Unfortunately, they didn't go to the playoffs because they lost to Springbrook, which eventually became the champions that year with Sean Springs. But it would be dope, because I've seen high schools recently, because again, I go to Uni Watch every day. I've seen high schools do throwbacks. So that kind of would be dope, with the all red, with the white helmet, with the red face mask. I'm just throwing it out there, Coach. I know
we did toy, we've a couple of years ago, this might have been my first year. We actually we ordered a handful of new helmets, and a couple of them came in unpainted, so they were white with a red face mask. And I said, we look too much like Einstein, so I made sure that they got painted the silver that they were supposed to be that year.
Listen, I'm putting this down here right now. When we get rich, Coach, I got you with some helmets. Don't worry. Don't worry. Listen, we will be the Oregon of high school if you want to. When I get rich, I got you, Coach.
As an Oregon fan, I'm all for it.
I got you, Coach. That's my word. If we win, I'm not gonna say if. Win money, Jae Jones, Wildcard Mark get rich. My cut, I'm throwing y'all black helmet, red helmet, white helmet, silver helmet. Hey, Coach, green ain't even colors. You want green? You can get green helmets.
Hey, also, if y'all don't know and are watching and listening, I know Coach Nosoff and Blair, y'all sold some replica jerseys for some alumni and everything that was interested last year. So are y'all doing that again this year?
We probably will. I mean, I love that option, especially, not only for alumni, but our parents. Our parents are great, making sure that our kids get to the games, and we allow us to have them for an extra 4 hours after school between study halls and practices and lifts and all of that. So, them being able to wear a replica of what their kids are wearing on the field is huge. Last year we did the black ones. We might do one of the new red or white ones this year, depending on how well they're received once we unveil the full look. But yeah, we're using the same apparel company that we did last year that was able to do the replicas. So once we get some up and out there, I'll make sure the links get sent around.
Hey.
Did y'all ever do the black with the white pants? If you need a fashion,
I think that was one of the ones that our captains had brought up for one of the games, but I think ultimately it got turned. I don't think we've ever done the black with the white pants, though. I think last year when they brought it up, one of the captains probably sent me 15 pictures of various teams wearing black and white. I think Jaguars pictures were sent a bunch because they had those alternate blacks with white pants. But I let the captains pick what we're gonna wear. Depending on the captain's group, we've had years where the captain's group, they're kind of like the dictators for it. It's like, no, this is what we're wearing. then we've got a couple of captains groups where they kind of poll the audience, and then at times it turns into a mess because everyone wants something a little bit different. And, the 3 people are loudly opposed to something, and then they're huffing and puffing when we get the uniform combos set out there. But it's always a captain's decision unless it's like horrendous. If even us old guys in the office are saying it's bad, then, but the ultimate decider is we have a mannequin in the office that we use for our game day posts. So we'll put the full combo that they want on the mannequin, and if the mannequin can't pull it off, then we'll go with a different combo.
I'll play Springbrook this year.
No, we don't have Springbrook this year.
Paint Branch.
We do have Paint Branch. Yep.
At Paint Branch.
We're at Paint Branch. That's the second to last game of the year.
Captains all white.
There's always an all white game. There's always, you know what, the crazy part is we do not play well in all white.
Don't listen to Mike.
No.
We actually
don't win all whites then.
2 years ago we were at Paint Branch in all white, and it didn't work out for us.
What were they wearing? Black.
They were in their whatever the maroon and gold. I think they're up for new uniforms this year too.
Yeah, I heard through the grapevine they're getting the uniforms again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're at Paint. They always want an all white game. My rule with them is that usually when we wear white pants, we're on turf because they're easier to clean. Last year, I believe they wanted to wear the white pants during the Sherwood game, which it rained for. So I told them that if they wanted to wear white pants, then they all had to wash. Someone had to wash their own. So a couple of the captains all brought them home. I'm sure moms were a little upset, but they came back pretty white. So I was okay with it. I didn't have to do it.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah, you probably didn't see how much beach they poured in that thing.
I told him if the black Under Armour logo came back brown, then they were paying for new ones.
And Mar, to your point, talk about don't listen to me. I, on my team, was the uniform aficionado.
You
looked at how I dressed every single game. I had a different layout every single game. We never wore all white when I played for Blair. We always wore all red or white and red. Like when we was on the way, we wore white jerseys, red pants. I'm telling you, somebody all white, man.
It is clean. I think our all white look looks a little bit better with the black helmets.
Yes.
Than it did. The silver helmets, I think it didn't really it didn't pop as much, but the all white is a clean look when we're with the black helmets, and if they go like black accessories and stuff like that.
Hey man, hey coach, man,
I'm hyped.
Yeah, they really don't think that uniforms matter, man. Hey, what Dion say? He said you
play good,
you feel good, you feel good, you play good, you play good, you pay good. I'm trying to tell you, these jerseys matter, baby.
They matter. We never had black uniforms ever, and these dudes wearing black uniforms and they winning.
Hey, I got a question back to football and coaching. How do you go about? Because sometimes I feel like it's not lost completely, but it's not as evident sometimes. How do you go about talking to your players about sportsmanship, and how hard do you emphasize it to them as well? And what's your personal take on it?
Hey, it's tough. It's getting increasingly more difficult because not every other program is emphasizing sportsmanship, and it's really hard to tell your group ignore what they do because we do what we do, which is, we're going to go shake hands and we're going to do things the right way. And, there's been some incidents over the last handful of years where, we've gone through the handshake line and they know my rules where it's nothing but good game. And, the other team is saying stuff, and it's really difficult to punish someone in my program when all they're doing is responding to something that stirred the pot. But at the same time, we're also trying to preach that, sometimes there's going to be that pot stir, and you've got to be the person that doesn't get sucked into whatever's going on. It's kind of case by case, but it's really difficult because, again, social media has made celebrations and all of these things get out of hand, and the 7-on-7s with the celebrations and even what they wear to 7-on-7 games kind of drives me a little crazy. But again, I'm old school. So I just got to know the group. Again, the last year's group, they're a little bit more on edge. So there was always, some of my timeouts aren't necessarily football related. It's just, we need to get the group back, or things aren't going well and we need to reset. I over the last 2 years, I've probably taken maybe 5 or 6 timeouts that were literally just us as a full team taking a deep breath and resetting. And sometimes that's what the group needed, because you could kind of sense that the tension was getting there, and before it gets out of hand, you got to settle them down. I've taken timeouts just to reiterate that the game's out of hand and here's what the other team's going to do, and we don't buy into that. Just keep reminding.
I saw you do that against Wheaton. I definitely seen you do that against Wheaton.
That was a frustrating game. I saw the strike. I ran into Coach Saunders, who isn't at Wheaton anymore, but I ran into him at Home Depot here in Laurel. And I even told him, I said, Coach, man, I'm cursing you out in the headset with that. You're waiting until the very last second to snap the ball every play. I said, you were driving me crazy. I said, that last timeout I called at the end of the game was personal. He said, oh, I know. But I found through some of the leadership training that we've gone through and having conversations, we've got some really good mental coaches that have come through. One of our assistant ADs and assistant softball coaches, Kristen Cole, she's really big in the mental and winning game through mental aspects. So, I've had a lot of conversations with her about what to do when things aren't going well and how to handle certain situations. The mom of our rising senior quarterback, she's also our head field hockey coach, Holly Stofa. She does a lot of mental training. So I've had conversations with her about, what are things that she can do with the field hockey program, which is completely different from a football program, but what can I take from how she coaches that group to ours? I've called Adam from Lead 'em Up multiple times after sessions saying, Coach Bradley, I've got these issues. What do you think? How would you handle it? So it's kind of going back to that like trait. It's like, you're always learning, you're always trying to find the next ability to fix whatever the problem is.
And that was gonna kind of, so I had a question that was based on like, what did you learn from either? I know last year, the expectations were high, state champ, you won it, but it didn't turn out that way. And I was gonna ask you, what did you learn or gain from last season that you can bring into this year, whether good or bad? And then I was gonna ask you, my second question was, looking at the schedule, was there anybody in particular that that you were just like, okay, that stood out, like, yeah, I'm looking forward to this game right here?
Things that we've taken, it's the goal the goal is always a state championship, and the goal is always go undefeated. And, that's always the one that's super easy to put on the whiteboard and say, this is the target. But then there's always those little goals that we have to have along the way. You break the season, we play 9 regular season games, so we break it into a third. What do we want to be after the first third, looking at the schedule? What do we want to be in the second third and the third? And, 2 years ago, we won a playoff game, hosted a playoff game, made it to the third round. This year we got to host that third round playoff game and had a bye in the first round. So like things have still trended up, so it's those are the small victories that we have that we can kind of say it's gotten better. And then, now looking at the group of rising freshmen that have been coming out to workouts with us, I attribute that to the effect of these last 2 years of us playing the way we have. Now I want to say that we're probably in the 10 to 15 range of rising freshmen that are coming to workouts. They don't have to come to workouts on July 5th and 6th and be out there in the heat, never having played football before, but they know that they want to be part of it. So that's kind of the success that we've noticed, that we don't have to scrounge for incoming talent. They kind of gravitate to us now that we've been performing the way we have. So that's made our lives kind of easy there. In terms of the schedule, so whether it's a good or a bad thing, my philosophy this year going into the scheduling, we're in a new cycle. So every 2 years we get a new schedule. Last year was the second year of the previous version. We get to kind of not pick who we're going to play, but we get to make some suggestions, what kind of schedule would we like to see. And ultimately the county does poll rank and they make the final call, but they tend to give some of the programs a handful of things they want. We're now in a system where everyone in the state of Maryland makes the playoffs. That is week 10 is round 1 of the playoffs. Everyone makes it. It doesn't matter what your record is. We had a bye last year for week 10 because we only had 7 teams in our division. The year before that, we technically had a bye. Bladensburg pulled out, but they were an 0-9 team that year. So, that was technically the playoffs, but it's really week 10 for a lot of teams. With everyone making the playoffs and with the QOs, the Wises, the Flowers, the Broadnecks, the rising of Churchills and the perennial paint branches, all roads are going to go through them anyway. So my philosophy for these next 2 years was we might as well be battle tested when we get there. Wise 2 years ago, we were not anywhere close to being ready for that. Just as a program, we were really excited to be at the point where we were, but we didn't know what that looked like because we had never seen that before in person. This last year, we got to host them. They're still a league above us, and they played like it. Especially up front, offensive line, defensive line. They have different bodies than we do, and again, we don't face that during the regular season, so
right.
We don't know what to expect until we get there, and it doesn't look anything like it does when you watch film until it's actually out there. So yeah, we ramped up the schedule this year. I'm hoping we rise up to the occasion for it, and I think this group can definitely do it. But we requested having one of those QOs or Northwests on the schedule, so we have QO on the schedule this year.
I was gonna ask about that actually. I was gonna say, what's your toughest opponents you think you've played or about to play, and what's the best team you've played as well?
So we will have QO will come to Blair on the 29th of I believe it's September.
We did.
And that'll be week 5 for us. That'll be our toughest game in the regular season. I have no idea what the playoffs will bring for us, but it comes with a little bit of extra juice because their quarterback Nino is Joe's nephew. So, we've got a little bit of family rivalry there. I know he's super excited to come to Blair, and he's already talking smack, and he's earned that right. He has a ring. So that's going to be a really tough game for us. But regardless of how that game goes and what the score looks like at the end of the game, it gives us that mid-season, where are we, who are we, we could be 4-0 going into that game. We could be 0-4 going into that game, but it's going to give us that ultimate, what do we need to fix in order to continue on once we get to the playoffs? So the back half of our schedule is QO, WJ, BCC, Paint Branch, and Blake all in a row.
Jesus Christ.
It's going to be a tough stretch of 5. But it's one that we deserve to play against, because the last 2 years have said that we should be playing tougher opponents. And so we want to take on that challenge. And I know everyone's looking for the press clipping. Oh, we're going 9-0, we're beating everybody, but that's not what it is. We want to play the good teams in the county, because I'd rather go 0-9 knowing we played the best 9 teams in the county than go 9-0 and it just being too easy and us never actually having any challenges. So
talk your ears, coach. That's right.
That was kind of our philosophy.
Love philosophy, man. I love it.
Go ahead, Mike.
So I got 2 questions for you. Well, technically the first one isn't a question. It's kind of I like to make a bet with you, Coach.
Uh-oh.
Oh, here we go.
We have been in this year was the first year. This will be our second year in our fantasy league.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to make a bet that if you lose to me, I get to be the mannequin.
The mannequin.
For 1 week, I get to be the mannequin.
And that you get this as a winner to be the mannequin, right?
Yeah, I get to be. If I win, I get to be the mannequin. Whatever he decides for me, if I lose, I'll let you know if I'm okay with that. But more than likely, because you my guy, I'll probably do it. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'll tell you. I've actually had to move the mannequin. I've had to move the mannequin twice, because the first location I put it was right outside of the main office, and the security kept bringing me the arms of the mannequin because kids were taking the arms off and walking around the halls with them.
That's Blair for you. But the second one is, and my guys, I want to give a shout out to my guys, G Money, Jae Jones. This is their second interview with you, but we do a lot of work over here at Man Cave between Jay, Mar, and G. They do a lot of freaking work behind the scenes for sports. And this year we plan this fall to launch 613 Sports, starting with the high schools in Maryland. Of course, myself will probably be Code out. Of course, I'll be at Blair games most of the time. Jay's going to be doing some. G's going to be doing some. Mar's going to be paying attention to scores as well. This is to put you on the spot, though. Who do you think we should interview next? And because you say this person, you got to help us get them.
I love it.
Yeah, guys, I got y'all.
I love it.
Let me see. There's so many good programs, and not necessarily ones that are winning. I developed a little bit of a rivalry with some of the DCC schools, because I just don't know. I don't know anything else about some of the other. I just came down here, developed a little bit of a rivalry with some of the DCC schools, because that's what I was told to. So it was you should be rivals with Northwood and Wheaton and Einstein and Kennedy. Like those are the teams that you should be a rival with. And I think the DCC schools also don't get enough love when it comes to the outside of the area and recognition. And everyone talks about some of the up county schools. So I would say, as much as my group may give me some grief for it, because we've just established a little bit of a rivalry with them, given the fact that they were the only ones to beat us in my tenure here. I'd say Sean Loftus at Einstein has been doing a lot of great work with them. He actually set up the 7-on-7 that we've been doing every Wednesday. He and I worked together to make sure that the linemen were included in some big man camp stuff. So they're another program that every year they're much like us, where they're going to have those unique challenges and kids that football isn't the only thing that's on their mind 24/7. They've had a couple of good coaches that have been in the program, and I think they're doing some good things over there. Obviously we'd love to continue being the better team in the DCC, but the 1 year that we did have to give them the trophy for the DCC championship, that was the team that deserved it that year. So, I'd say Sean over at Einstein would probably be the next one, just to keep the DCC love.
So can you help us get him?
Yeah, no, I'll reach out to him. I'll see if
Man.
there was a little bit of a unique rivalry too, because his girlfriend was our trainer last year too. So, we had another rivalry. She was fortunate. She had to go to a wedding that Friday. So she wasn't there when we played them during the regular season. So she didn't have to pick a side or anything like that. But I'll definitely reach out to him. I can't speak for him, but I know he's big on advocating for the kids. He's an Einstein grad, so he's someone who stayed home, and this means something to him. So I think he would be another good interview.
And lastly, Coach, because I keep hearing you say DCC.
Yeah.
For me, Gary might know, because he, I don't want to put his business out there, what he really does outside of podcasting, because I don't want nobody trying to look for my man.
I thought this is where the millions were coming from, right? You don't have to worry about that.
But I will say, for me, Jay, and I'm gonna speak for myself. I've never heard the term DCC before when it comes to Mo County sports. Every time you said it, I'm thinking you talking about playing Dunbar and Cardozo.
No. So Down County Consortium is the 5 schools: Blair, Northwood, Wheaton, Kennedy, and Einstein.
That's
so the Down County Consortium is the cluster where all the kids from Eastern and Tacoma and SSI, they all can't go to the same school because there's so many of them. So they get a choice, and the choice is the DCC. So they could go to any of those 5 schools. Each of the 5 schools will provide unique, like we've got cap and magnet programs. We're more on the communications cap program. I think Einstein is more on the arts. They all have their own unique programs that some of the kids apply for and test for and get in. But ultimately, there are technically home schools for all these kids, but there's a choice process. So when you were in 8th grade, I think sometime in October, they get a form, and they pick the top 3 that they want to go to. So they could pick from any of those 5, and the DCC tries to accommodate. But
it's like the East County one, like Springbrook, Paint Branch, Blake.
Yeah, so Springbrook, Paint Branch, and Blake are in the Northeast Consortium. We're in the Down County Consortium.
Gotcha.
So even if they're not in that particular zone, they can still go to that school.
Yeah, so you could live.
Wow.
You could technically live right next door to Blair, and you could request to go to Wheaton because they have the program you want. It's not a guarantee, but I think it's technically a lottery system. But most of the kids that are in one of the cap or magnet programs, they kind of get first dibs because they tested into those things.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'd say 60 to 70% of them wind up at the school that they were supposed to go to based on proximity. But then there's a whole host of other kids that they might live down the street from Einstein, but they go to Kennedy because that's what they chose. And that's where they are.
Man, that's crazy, because I definitely, I'm not gonna say nothing because you're trying to get the Einstein coach on it. But when I was in high school, I wanted to go to Blair because a lot of my friends went there. But like I said, I moved, so I had to go to Einstein. So I didn't know anybody. So I was like, now to hear that they get an option?
It's a unique process, and one that I'm still kind of learning. Like every year I learn something new that I hope to apply to the incoming freshman recruiting process. So while we have 3,300 students at Blair, not all of them are there for athletics.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
we've got the It's Academic team that is
Dominates.
usually Final Three every year. We've got a robot team that always places. We've got debate teams that are in Washington all the time. Like,
Wow.
most of those kids I probably won't see on a football field because they have other things that are consuming their time, and rightfully so, because they're really good at what they're doing in those. We had a couple of kids that they won massive scholarships from C-SPAN because their infographic commercial study that they did. I mean, I don't even have, I can't even keep up sometimes with some of the emails that Principal Johnson sends out with the kudos to this group and that group. It's like there's just hundreds of kids that they are very academically strong, and they chose Blair for that. And there's kids in the arts program over at Einstein, and they went there specifically for that. And they all went to the same middle school, but then they spread out from there.
And that's really dope, Coach, because when we were all in school, they had all this going on, but Blair was the only one that was left out. Like, if you lived in Blair's region, you had to go to Blair.
Mhm.
But like I mentioned with Paint Branch, Paint Branch, Springbrook, and Blake, they had that option there. Some of the Wheaton schools, Kennedy and Wheaton, you had the option to go to Wheaton or Kennedy. I think BCC, Wootton, and maybe not Wootton, Whitman, I believe. Whitman, because Whitman might be closer. They had that option. So it's dope to hear that Blair is finally like getting treated like a Montgomery County school. Because Blair has been
a lot of the kids, just based on interactions with them, a lot of them, they're usually prioritizing getting into Blair. But we're getting ready to add a 22nd portable to the building, so we're overcrowded. Northwood's going to go through some unique challenges because this is their last year at the building that they're in now. They're going to Woodward for 2 years, starting the next school year as a school, and then they're getting a brand new building which should start sometime next summer. And so they'll be at Woodward for 2 years while the new school's built. Then they'll come back, and then Woodward will officially open up to alleviate WJ and Wooten and some of the influx of kids down there. Then there's supposed to be a Crown High School that's coming in the next 5 to 7 years that's supposed to take from Seneca, QO, Northwest up there.
Wow.
So, man, the county just keeps there's more kids in this county than we can handle. So more schools, more building sizes.
And it is weird because I'm glad you said that, Coach, because when we was at Blair, we were the only school that got a new school that didn't go to another school before we went to the new school. Because BCC, they went to Northwood. Kennedy went to Northwood. Wheaton went to Northwood. We were the only ones that went from our old school directly to our new school. So that's pretty dope, man. That's pretty dope.
Yeah. Well, and then this version, Wheaton stayed in their building while they were building it, and then they just went across the parking lot to the new Wheaton. And then while the kids were in the new Wheaton, they demolished the old Wheaton, and then that's what turned into the new Edison building.
Right.
Oh man,
They couldn't even use their softball field for
Yeah, this is the first year they've had it. They just opened it.
Yeah.
Someone apparently drove through the fence onto it.
Hey, can't have nice things, man.
love it, man. Well, Coach, hey man, we definitely appreciate you coming on, man, kicking it with us, answering all our questions, man. Just like we said, man, you're more than welcome to come back anytime. We look forward to coming to some of the games this year. Definitely that QO, that whole back five you just mentioned, really.
Yeah, I was about to say, Coach, like I'm coming from Kansas City. If I want to link up with my 613 fellas and come catch a game, check you out. Which one should it be?
I mean, any of those games in that back five are going to be they're going to be big ones for us. Hopefully, at that point in the season, they're ones that have some real meaning to them. But you know, it's always tough toward the beginning of the season. You're still trying to find everything out. So we should have all of the issues worked out by the time we get to that back five, because those are going to be big ones. Those are tough games for us.
Mar, I'm gonna tell you right now. If you're gonna come to a game, he's humble. If you're gonna come to a game, that QO game is Florida State, Florida Gators.
Yeah,
that's gonna be huge right there.
Because that game is gonna be. That game might break the attendance record for Montgomery County Public Schools football games.
That might be tough. Well, the anytime QO plays Damascus or Northwest, those are usually big ones too. But
those are. But
I'll take the comparison. We'll hopefully we're rising up to those expectations when we get there.
Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna try.
That's gonna be a huge game,
so I can mark that one down.
That's gonna be a huge game. I got before we wrap it up, I got my Blazers going in undefeated to that game. I'm gonna wait to make my pick for that game until the game, but I got us going undefeated until that game.
I'd be okay with that. We have Seneca week 2. That one might be a little challenging.
Where's that?
We're home for Seneca.
Damn. Okay, well I'll be there. Don't worry. I'll be there.
We're at Wheaton, home for Seneca. I believe we're then at Kennedy, and I think we're home for Einstein. I'm sorry. Kennedy, at Einstein.
Oh yeah, y'all whooping them Wheaton teams. Y'all gonna whoop them. Hey, don't worry. And I'm gonna tell your coach, Jay, when he come on here, y'all getting whooped by my guy.
Yeah, I can't wait for him to come on, because I'm, I told myself too, because is he a new coach this year, or has he been there?
No, I want to say that he started when I did too, so he might be going into year 4 or 5 as well.
Because I want to tap in with him as well. Being after last year, I saw the interview. Man, I would need to go back to my old high school and do some things.
They've had some really good season. They've had some really good talent there as well. But I think in terms of someone who's kind of aligned, I keep saying DCC, he's aligned with making sure that we're also producing good football. And that's a big, at the beginning, I considered him a rival because he was younger than me and they beat me. And it's like, but as I've had conversations with them and just talk ball with them, they're doing the right things over there.
Nice. Hey man, I wish you the best, Coach, man. I coach them boys up, man. When I come out, touchdown in the Mo, hey, we trying to live it up. I hope y'all get some big dubs this year. And man, hey, when y'all win state, man, we gonna go ahead and put the trophy up on the show too.
Hey, I'm in. I'm in on that.
The Wheaton game, I went to the concession stand and got some nachos. When I went to the concession stand and got nachos, I think it was like 6-6 or something close. I don't remember what the exactly was, but it was score some bullshit. By the time I got my nachos, my drink, and came back, they was up like 27. They score really fast, bro. Like real fast, bro. Like I ain't never seen nothing like it. And I'm not saying they perfect, but when they score, it's like, God dang, can I go get a hot dog?
Yeah. That's what's up. Yeah, I can't wait. I hate that I missed some games last year, but I'm definitely looking forward to coming out this year.
You'll have to let me know when you guys are coming out. I know a guy who can put some names on lists and all that kind of stuff. So just let me know. And if you guys ever want to just swing by for practices, I can always let you know where we are and I love having outside groups come in and talk to the team just because it's different perspectives and just give them, they forget that like other people lived on Flower and lived in those apartments. Like they only recognize themselves there, and it's like they forget that there's groups of people who have lived there before them and probably gone through the same things that they have.
Legally, can we interview them?
I mean, I know that other groups do. And we would just have a coach representative on there. So they get interviewed all the time for TV and all that kind of stuff. We've had multiple TV crews come out. A couple of them have been on a different podcast before. So yeah, we just have, whether it's myself or Joe usually hops on with some of them too. Just
because I got cool with Kendall, and I ain't want to, mess up your program and break any rules. So I left it alone.
Yeah, no, I usually I kind of let them, as long as they're not out there talking too much smack or writing too many checks that they can't have. No, that's my only thing. Like bulletin board material is pretty real when it comes to the high school game. So
I got somebody for that. His name is G Money. He'll bring it back to reality. Don't worry.
Hey, that's man. What's up. Hey, well, again, Coach, man, we appreciate you kicking it with us. It's late. We know you had a long day, man. We're gonna let you wind down, man. Get some rest. Again, before we leave, tell them where they can find you at on social media, Coach. If they need to reach out to you.
Yeah, so I'm still on Twitter as long as it's kicking. So at @coach_Nosof. We also have blazersfootball.org is the website that I run. So you'll find updates on rosters and schedules, how the guys are doing in college, recruiting profiles. I try to put a little bit of everything on that website just so that anybody who wants to know something about us, you can try to find some things. Once we get apparel links and everything, I always put that on the website as well. So blazersfootball.org is a good resource for inside and outside the program.
Nice.
Cool. G Money, tell the good people where they can find you at on these social media outlets.
And you can find me on Twitter at GMoneyCaveman. And like Coach said, check out the website. That's awesome what they're doing out there, man. For Blair, for all the athletics and stuff. That's super cool. But also email 613Faye@gmail.com. Fantasy football, baby, is around the corner. Coach Nosof's on the squad. We made a trade. It didn't work out for me as much as it did for him, I don't think. But hey, it happens. Hey, but we get back at it.
Yeah, we gonna definitely get back at it. Mike T, man, tell them where they can find you at.
You know what it is. IG, everybody love Mike T. On Facebook, Michael Turner. And I'm changing my Twitter right now to Jae Jones. We gonna whoop that ass. Pause. That's what my Twitter is.
I gotta go find Coach from Einstein. Do you follow him, Coach? Do you follow him on Twitter?
I don't know if he has a personal Twitter. I think he's
gotta go find him.
I think it's already better than yours.
Einstein, but I got his number, so I'll hit him up and I'll try to get him in connection with you.
Hey, me and G Coach already better than yours. He got Twitter. He got Black Planet.
He may have one, but he just may not be as active on it yet. But don't worry.
He might not be as active on it.
Yeah, we're gonna get him on Threads. We're gonna get him on the new Twitter. Twitter's done. We done with Twitter, man. We go to Threads. Wild Card, man. Tell them where they can find you at.
You can find me on Black Planet with Mike T. Now Casey Wild Card Mar on the Twitter.
Oh my God!
On Facebook and Instagram. RW Sports Network, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and of course 613. You know what it is.
That's what's up, man. And y'all can find me, Jae Jones, on all 4 social media platforms as long as they exist. Make sure y'all check us out on the Man Cave Sports Facebook page for all you sports updates. Once again, Saturdays and Sundays on Twitter Spaces, me and Wildcard Mar at about 11:30. I want to say 11 p.m. all running, if everything's running normal. So man, if y'all are up and you want to just kick it sports related, man, just come on into the Twitter spaces, man, and join the conversation, man. So again, that's where you can find us all at. Make sure you can find all our content on 613 Faye Productions on YouTube, IG, Facebook 613 Faye DMV, IG 613 Faye Productions, Facebook 613 Faye Productions on Apple and Spotify. But until the next time, we're gonna see y'all next week. We're gonna shut the door on y'all asses. I'm out.
And Facts Crew, we done whooped y'all ass in the kickball.